Hey class, by now you should have reviewed the website and looked at the Monogram challenge using text for design. So I'm going to show you a way that I would set up a document to come up with a few different ideas, okay? Because we don't want to just start with one. We want to be able to design, have an idea, copy that, start making extensions of that design, copy that. So we're not just doing things, and erasing them and losing any progression we're making, okay? So I'm going to go Command N, open up a new document. I'm going to call it Mr. Fairy, first name, last name, underscore monogram. I'm going to make it 8 inches. Remember, select inches here, right? We have pixels, points, picas, inches, feet. So I just want to do inches, okay? It's going to be 8 inches by 8 inches. And the orientation doesn't matter because it is a square. So it is both portrait and landscape. I'm going to now select artboards. So I want to be able to do 4 different variations. So I'm going to click 1, 2, 3, 4. So what this does, gives us 4 little artboards. So 4 white spaces that we can do different designs on. Okay, and it's CMYK, high resolution. We're good to go. We're going to hit create. Okay, so now we see, remember, instead of just one little white square, the artboard, we have 4. So we can design on each one here. And as we progress, it gives us an option to see what we're doing, right? If we were in a professional setting and the art director wanted to see 4 different examples of something, like I want to see a monogram for you, Adam. So Adam Ferry, that's me. I'm going to use AF. Let me see 4 different examples. Okay, so I could do that, right? And show each one. So to start out here, I'm going to show you some basic styles, right? So let's just start with black and white. And then once we find, a nice design or something that works, we can go ahead and move on and add some color. But we'll do that tomorrow, okay? So let's just work in black and white today and come up with some ideas. So I'm going to start with a square. I'm just going to go, and again, remember, if we want to get to that perfect workspace, we can go to Window, Workspace, Essentials Classic, right? Or we can click up at the top right as well, and you're going to see all the different options, right? Essentials Classic. And if you need to reset it, you can hit reset. This way we kind of get all the tools we need. You can see our layers panel easily. Selection tool, direct selection tool, all our tools. The text tool is what we're going to be using specifically today, okay? So let's start with the square. So if you don't see the square, remember, you can click on it, hold it. We'll see rectangle, rounded rectangle, ellipse, polygon, star. We're going to use some of these, okay? So we'll start with the rectangle. And remember, if I start in the middle, and our guides kind of pop up automatically, and I hold Alt on a Windows keyboard, or Option on a Mac, but you start from the middle, right? And if I want it to be a square and stay a square, right? So right now it's letting me change it. But if I hold Shift, it will keep a perfect square, right? And let's say I'm not in the middle. I can just look up to the alignment tool, right? If I'm in the square, if you go up to your options bar at the top, we'll see these alignment tools, right? So we want a horizontal align and a vertical line. But I was perfect, so you don't notice it. But watch, if I move this and I'm still selected, I can click vertical and click horizontal, and now we have it perfectly in the center, okay? I can also, knowing that we have an 8 by 8 square, because that was our artboard size, if I double click, it's going to give me the rectangle here. I could say, make this a 7-inch. I would just go 7, tab, 7. Okay, it's defaulting to inch. I've made that, right? Then I would have to go, I'm going to get rid of our old one. Command X. I'm going to drag this guy in the middle there. He's clicked in the middle with the guides, but we'll just double check. Vertical and horizontally aligned. Okay, so now I have this square. I'm going to start with a very basic one, right? So if I go to my stroke and my fill over there on the left-hand side, right, in the toolbar, if I hit that little arrow, it's going to switch them, right? So right now, the default, if I click that underneath the fill and stroke, there's a little default, black and white. If I switch them, now it's white with a white stroke with a black fill, okay? I'm going to get rid of this stroke. We do not need a stroke, right? So we'll click on it. Either hit / or you can hit that white slash. Okay, there's a nice start. I'm going to go ahead and just lock this. This is going to be my background for my monogram, right? So Command 2, Control 2 on a Windows keyboard, right? Or we go to Object, and if I'm clicked on it, Object, Lock selection, Command 2. Okay, so now he's just sitting there, and I can just grab the text tool. Okay, so I'm going to hit T for text, or click on the text there, and you know, we're going to use white text, so I'm going to click into this, grab some white. Okay, and I'm going to click in there. I'll have to grab white again, my bad. There we go. Okay, and if we zoom in on this guy, we'll see it's brought in some lorem ipsum, right? So default text. So I'm going to start with A for Adam. I'm going to make this a little bigger, right? So let's just make sure that's highlighted. Grab the T text tool. Have to click on it this time and zoom in a bit closer here so you can see this, right? Just a little A. If I highlight it and then go up to our font size, we can make it what we want. We can also hit the drop down. I'm just going to go to 72 for now. I'm going to zoom out. Yeah, it needs to be bigger than that, so I'm going to make them bigger. Hold shift, right? Because we do not want to squish the font. We want it to be the way it is meant to be, right? This is a boring font, Myriad Pro. It's the default. I'm going to look at some other fonts, okay? So let's see. I kind of like a slab serif, right? If we hit the filters, you can kind of look at all these different ones, right? We have a sans serif without serifs. We have serif with serif. We have slab serif, thick, bold like serifs, right? So those little handles on the bottoms and handing off are more square. Then we have some script or flowing calligraphy style. Then we have some more old Gothic style scripts, right? And then we have some monospaced fixed width. So these are all the same width. Everyone's going to look the same. We have some handwritten ones or homemade ones. And then we have some kind of distressed ones. You can see different properties of lightweight, thick weights, things like that, okay? So I want slab serif. I'm going to default to those, okay? We look in here. Rockwell's a cool one. I can do a lot with Rockwell. I like it because of these thick serifs, right? So I'm going to do, let's go bold. I'm going to start with a bold one, okay? So there's A for Adam. And I'm going to hit Option or Alt, I believe, on a Windows keyboard. Or just copy and paste it, right? Command C, Command V. Now I'm going to make that an F. So I'll grab the T for text tool, highlight it, type in F, make sure it's a capital. Well, it doesn't need to be. I mean, whatever you choose, it's your design, but I'm using a capital. Okay, now I kind of have my starting point. What's cool about this font, I already kind of have some things that work here. So, you know, if I zoom in closer to this, I can kind of overlap these guys, and now it's one thing. So that's already something interesting, right? So I'm just going to start with that. That's going to be my basic design, I think. Now, to do more to this, because if we are printing on a laser engraver, and I want you to be ready for that, because that'll be coming up next with our keychains, you can't print a font. It needs to be an outline. And it's a good habit to get into when you're printing, because when you print, computers that are attached to the printer have to have the fonts, and sometimes you don't have the fonts. Okay, so they need that code to print properly. But if we create it into outlines, it will be a path, just like any other design, just like the crab we did, right? It's just a drawing with a fill and a stroke. Because right now, it is actually a font, right? The same way as in Microsoft Word or anything else, it's an actual font. I can go in and change this by hitting T, type in anything, right? I'm going to Command Z. Okay, so, you know, we can go Shift. We can grab both of these, right, using the selection tool. Shift, click both of them. And if I go to Type, scroll down, Create Outlines. It is Shift Command O on a Mac, right? I believe it'll be something different on a PC. Shift Alt O maybe. But anyway, we can do this. And now what's happened, if we look at these, they're not a font anymore. It's actually a fill. So this is a total fill. If I were to flip these around, you can see it's just that outline. And if I click on them, you can see the little vector shapes now, the vector points, right? So now I can manipulate this. If we zoom in, right, we click, we have our little white vector point. So if I click on just one of those, I'm zooming out now, I can manipulate that one piece. So if I held shift, there we go, I've done something. Yeah, I've made something a little different. I could grab those white dots, I could pull that down, right? I can do some custom work to it, okay? So it gives us some other options for interesting design. I'm gonna go Command Z. Now that I have both of these, right, as outlines, we can do a few more things. So I'm gonna actually shift this guy over a little more, hold shift, he'll be straight. I wanna make these just one continuous line. This just makes for better design and better printing. So we can use our little shape builder tool. We've done this before, remember? And you just click and drag through it. So now this AF is just one continuous framed out thing. If I click on that, I've selected it, and I flip it. Now the stroke is one thing. I realized it didn't really do a great job right there. I can actually just go fix that. I can click. If I zoom right in on these guys, I could actually just remove one of those points, right? Remember we did this. If I go to the pen tool, highlight over it, it's going to subtract that point. That cleaned that up. Zoom in on this one. Go back to the pen tool, hover, you see a minus sign. Get rid of that guy. And then we might have to pull this one down a little bit. Not perfect, but I will clean that up in a bit. So now we have this kind of interesting AF thing going on here. So I'm going to grab this. I feel good about this right now, but I just want to kind of center it more. Okay, and I'm going to keep it white. So I just have a nice simple monogram right now, okay? Nothing fancy. So I'm going to unlock everything. Unlock all. And I'm going to copy it all, right? I have my selection tool. I'm just going to Alt, drag it over, right? Hold Shift while I do that, and I can bring it over, auto align it. Okay, now I got a starting point for a second version of something kind of similar. I think, you know, when we looked on the website at those examples on the PDF, we saw some neat things happening with different shapes behind it. So let's try doing something different here, right? So I'm going to get rid of this background. So I'll just Command X. Now still, if I highlight, AF is still there. But if we highlight over the rectangle now, and I grab the star tool, I can go into the middle here. I can make myself a star, so I'll fill it up kind of like that. I'm going to change the color to a black outline. Maybe I'll fill him black actually. We'll just slide that over, make the fill black, get rid of the stroke. We just have the fill, okay? Okay, so the star there, and we can't see AF because this is at front, right? So remember, if we look at the layers, this is just our layer, right? And inside the layer is all the different paths, right? If I were to grab the star, because we see the blue, we're on this one, I could just drag it down. There we go, we start to see AF there, okay? I remember I can also just shift right square bracket, and that will move it up, and left square bracket moves it the other way, right? Up and down. Or we can right click on it, go down to arrange, bring to front, bring back, okay? Change it there as well. So I'm going to send it to back. And now here's the thing we can do with this star shape to add some points, right? You're going to see this little kind of plus and minus thing on the right? It's a little circle. If I just drag that, it's going to add some stars. So I can go all the way around. An interesting way to make a sun or something. Okay. And then we'll see another little circle in there. And then you see the little hover. When I hover, you'll see that little arch on there. I can drag this out Now just pull this right to the edge, right? We've kind of made this interesting kind of Mattel shape, right? And we could play with these a little more, right? Till you feel good about it. Longer points, smaller ones, more points, less. Okay, so that's one way to make something interesting. But we're gonna notice that AF's a little too big for this one. And I also want to make sure this is centered, so I'm going to align him vertically. There we go. I'm going to shift, got my little black selection tool, the selection tool. Grab this guy, shift, make him a bit smaller. I think he needs to be in there. Okay, now I have another kind of version of something, right? So let's stick with this same idea here and do something different again, okay? So I'm going to unlock everything. Going to highlight our first one. Copy it, right? I'm just hitting Alt, Shift, bringing them down. Gonna get rid of this background. Well, this time I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make like a little shadow kind of. So I'm gonna shift this up. Okay, and then I'm gonna make a copy of it. So Command C or right click it and do copy. And then I want to paste in front. Okay. Now we can move this around, shift like that, and let's make this guy 50% black. So I'll kick in there, and I'll just kind of grab a gray that I like, right? We're in this little slider. We'll go in the middle. That looks good. Okay, and now I want to move him back a bit because I want him to go behind the black, right? So we can arrange it, send it back. There we go. So that's interesting. I could maybe grab the F. I'm just using my cursor to bring it down. Align it with the corner there. And maybe this would be cool if I used my eyedropper tool and made it gray. Now it's kind of a cutout. Okay. We see this. Let's just use the cursor and go right to the edge. Still not quite there. One more click. Okay, we have something else interesting now, right? So now we've started with this simple minimal one that I still really like. We've gone to do, you know, something with the star shape. I'm not sure I really like this one actually, as I'm playing with it. It doesn't really fit this slab serif style, but I'll keep it there. So let's make another copy of our original, and we'll just drag it over here. And for this guy, maybe we just wanted to like rotate this a little bit. Okay, hold shift, make it on a 45-degree angle. Maybe that's it. That little difference is pretty strong. Maybe we just add something, some interesting thing, like even just an asterisk or something, right? So I'll hit the text tool. We'll grab a little asterisk, make sure it is white so we can see it, highlight it, make it white. I'm just plopping that in there, maybe make it bigger, maybe make two of them. Here we go, we got something different. So we'll make those guys outlines as well. Maybe we want to do something with this side. Remember, if we grab the selection tool and click, we see those little arches right there. You can grab those, make a round tip. I'm going to hit Command Z. If we use a direct select tool, grab just that one corner. You can actually just grab the one corner, click on the vector point, drag in one. Maybe that's something interesting. Maybe we just do it to two sides. There we go. Okay, now I just kind of have, you know, 4 variations of, you know, a simple idea that I started with, okay? So I'd like you to play with ideas, right? You know, this is just me starting this, and I've been doing this for a few minutes, right? So play with a bunch of different ideas, play with different fonts, make sure that you create outlines, okay? Kind of once we get some black and white stuff done, tomorrow we can move into making some color changes and playing with some different color ideas, okay? Thanks for watching.